Welcome to the RTF Show. Coming to you live from two war-torn cities under siege, Portland and Chicago. I'm in my bunker. I think John's in his bunker. How you doing out there, brother John? You staying safe?
Oh my gosh. Yep, I'm down. I'm in the basement, taking shelter. I don't know if you've seen the news reports. There's frogs and chickens and dinosaurs running rampant all over Portland, causing just, an absolute menace, chaos. Some people consider frogs and chickens, well, men dressed in frogs and chicken suits to be terrorists, but we're surviving,
Yeah, I do have to say the video of Gnome up on top of the roof looking down on the guy in the chicken suit, and like describing how threatening Portland is and how it's like such a menacing city, and there's a fucking guy in a chicken suit on him, and they're just yelling up at him,
leaning on the fence. I mean,
she's basically like, oh, well, at night it gets much worse.
Yeah, and then at night the guy in his frog suit shows up and just starts like air humping the fucking crowd.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That guy in the chicken suit has been out there for weeks, if not months. So like,
good for him.
This is not a new development. This is what it has been and what it continues to be. It's pathetic that they are characterizing this as some sort of Antifa terrorist organization out here. So
it's pretty scary. Getting a little scary out there, to be honest. But we are here to talk about the state of the RTFL. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to persevere. It's been
equally scary, but
yes, indeed. It's been an interesting couple weeks since we last came on. I think we were on Monday night, actually, of week 4.
Yep.
So did not have the final tallies from week 4, but there was a weekly prize up for grabs that week. Who won that, John?
Yeah, week 4 was everyone takes a stroll down Bourbon Street, and whoever gets the most titties wins the prize. I think $25. And our man Duncan, he collected those beads and put up a whopping 8 touchdowns.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the highest that we've ever had. I think 9 might be the most touchdowns scored in a week, or like at least on week 4. But 8's very impressive. A few people had 7. A few people had a lot less. So
I think the Duncan put up 6 touchdowns between Nix and Janty. And going into recording that podcast, I remember now we were looking at we were trying to tally that up. We didn't have a final answer because there were still games going on. But we were looking at Peter, who had 7, thinking nobody would catch him. But Nix put up 4 in that Monday night game. 3 in that Monday night game, which sealed it for Duncan.
That's right.
Pretty wild. There was also, obviously, every week somebody gets voted off of the island. Lowest point total always goes home. we've so far this year, and we have two of them to announce now, but so far this year, we've had Fitz, Duncan, and Alec kicked off the island in the first 3 weeks. Week 4, tight race, but week 4 was
Josh. Yeah.
yes.
Tight race. It was between Josh and Steve coming down to the Monday night game. Josh booted. Absolutely booted.
88 points, 88.8 actually.
The highest
points.
total so far, though. That's kind of what we start to see in the season.
The highest total to that point, but the following week, in week 5, we saw the next highest total. This one even more of a nail biter. In week 5, Doug kicked off the island by a whopping 0.08.
Yep.
Against
Steve. Steve was had the 0.08 points more. So it's 2 weeks in a row. Steve has battled for his place on the island. I don't watch Survivor. Jake, please fill us in on what happens when 2 people are battling to stay on the island. I know Jake watches Survivor, so he'll tell us.
Well, I think because it relates to Steve, he probably will. But I think that the idea of Steve being the victor in those is actually somewhat emblematic of Steve's team. We'll get to Steve's team in a few minutes, but he's got it's a scrappy crew that Steve's got. He's trying to put together a bit of a scrappy season, sitting at 2-3. All right, so that's where we're at with the weekly prizes and the Survivor game. The injuries just continue to mount, and it has become kind of overwhelming to keep track of them, to be honest. There is a potential that San Francisco is starting Adrian Martinez, I think, at quarterback this week. Mac Jones is on the injury report. There is no confirmation that Brock Purdy will not play. Mac Jones, though, popped up as questionable. All indications are that he should be okay to go, but I believe if anybody was watching last week's what was it, the Monday night game or the Sunday night game, that guy was puking as he threw up coming off the field. So in the event that he can't go, Adrian Martinez, I think, is their third string quarterback, who, to my knowledge, has never taken a snap in the NFL. So could be interesting.
Adrian Martinez, what a man!
I believe he went to Nebraska, but he's been bounced around practice squads basically for the last 2 years, spending time on the Jets and the Lions. So in addition to that, already this week we've seen Kyler Murray's popped up on the injury report. Jamar Chase popped up today, likely to play though. Lamar Jackson out. Chris Godwin out again. Bucky Irving out. I already mentioned Brock Purdy. Ricky Pearsall out. Juwan Jennings questionable, may not play. CeeDee Lamb still out. Chuba Hubbard out again. Brock Bowers out. Mike Evans out. Quentin Johnston popped up on the injury report, hasn't practiced all week. He may be out.
Kelly.
Terry McLaurin hasn't practiced. He may be out. So interesting to say the least. Miles Sanders ruled out for the season. I don't know what that means to anybody. Probably not much. But the injuries are getting outrageous. It's really starting to pile up. So we're gonna we're gonna take a look at the league, the state of the league via. We're gonna do a little exercise in a second, but before we get there, we had some huge news. This huge breaking news. You've referenced it already, but lay it out for us, John. What happened?
Kelly went to the market. Kelly said, "Money, it's not real. Let me drop 50.
Mhm.
50 burger for Saquon and Debo," which in all reality, we all realize she paid $45 for Saquon and $5 for Debo. Generous, you could say 40, 10, but I don't think anyone's paying $10 for Debo. Regardless, she went out and got her guy, Saquon Barkley, who put up a
number one rusher in the league last year. Had an amazing year. This year, it's been a slightly different story for Saquon. Obviously, I think still a valuable ad for Kelly, but definitely not. We have yet to see the Saquon of last year. He has he's yet to eclipse 20 points, 20 fantasy points. And to be honest, he's really been kind of propped up by touchdowns. He's got 4 touchdowns on the year, but his rushing totals and his yards per carry are not what you would hope to see from Saquon. Part of that is kind of the attempts that he's had, which are much lower than I think some of the numbers we were seeing last year. But yeah, I mean, what's your assessment of this trade? How
I
are you
would say,
feeling?
like, if you're looking at it through like the first 4 weeks of the season, because last year they had their bye in week 5. Really, the first 4 weeks, he had his lowest rushing yards for 2024 in the first 4 weeks was 84, and the highest being 147. And then this year, in that first 4 weeks, his highest was 88. So, you're looking at just like an absolutely completely different offense and a guy who's not getting the carries and also not getting the yardage. I think he's getting. I think he's getting close to as many carries as he did last year. He's just not getting the yardage. And so, I still think there's plenty of room. Like, AJ Brown came out after the game and said, "We're still finding our identity," which I think is a crazy thing for a Super Bowl winning team to have to do. You're coming off a Super Bowl win, and now you're finding your offensive identity. I'm not sure that makes any sense, but let's just pretend it does, and let's pretend they do find their offensive identity. That identity will include Barkley having a significant role in it. I could also see them starting to move away from the tush push, because it's not working as well, I feel like, as in previous seasons. And there seems to be people getting fed up with it on the team. They ran 4 tush pushes in a row within the 5-yard line, like last game and on Thursday night game. So I could see them maybe starting to move away from that and Barkley getting some more carries in that area. It's a lot of money. She has like 1 person committed for next year. I can't remember who. So it's less about the money, but she can't. I don't think she could reasonably make another move.
I mean, yeah. I think she could make some moves around the edges, but I think Kelly's team. So we talked about it pre-show. and the comparison I made, and this is, I hope this doesn't happen to Kelly. I hope Kelly stays in the running. I want her to have a good season. But the thing that trade made me think of was my 2023 week 4, week 5 trades. When, I think at that point I was 4-0 and was looking to solidify my team. Traded for Pat Mahomes and I traded, I think, a total, we said, of about, $60 for Pat Mahomes, David Montgomery, and Swift. And it blew up in my face. Pat Mahomes never eclipsed the points per game total that he had, but earlier in this season, he really went on a downhill trajectory for the next year and a half. And then, the David Montgomery and Swift was nothing, and it just sort of collapsed my team. I ended up 7-7 and did not do anything. So that's what it reminded me of. I will also come clean and say that I ran Jake through the ringer this past week with discussion over Saquon and Debo as well at certain points, actually. We were looking at several different deals, some of which included Rashee Rice in some type of swap. And I think we'd even worked out a deal. Basically, I had sent him the idea of swapping Debo and Rice, and he said yes. And then I woke up the next morning and basically was like, that I can't do that. There's no way I'm going to do that.
Just swapping Debo and Rice and then paying for Saquon, or what?
No, I think at that point I had talked myself out of Saquon, but was still interested in Debo.
Oh yeah, that seems great. I mean, you've held Rice for this long. I would.
I know. Yeah, that was part of my calculus at the end.
He comes back next week. You can see what you get. I think for Kelly's team, I think it's like great. She's getting a great asset, and potentially another like in Debo, depending on his injury this week. And what McLaurin does when he comes back, like potentially a good asset on the wide receiver, what she needs. Her number one wide receiver is like QJ, which I think, it's hard to say that is going to last. We don't have a lot of data on that. He could be a flash in the pan, and Lad McConkey comes back at some point. He's not gone, but he's disappeared on the field every time he stepped on. But what I find interesting, and I think like this thing that we'll touch on in the next segment, is that Kelly through 5 weeks has scored, I think, 500 points. So she's like right around an average of 100 points a week. When you made all those trades through 5 weeks, you were averaging 110 points, which, only 10-point difference, but also kind of makes a lot of difference. That puts you at 550 something to her 500, which if you look at the state of the league right now, Jake has scored more points than her on the season. And then, in several, and he's 0-5, unfortunately. And then you look at some of, these other people, like in our league, or in our division, the Papa division, I think we're all over 530. Let me see. But I think what I'm trying to get at here is that Kelly needs points. Like she needs help. And I think going out and getting Saquon is not the worst thing to do because he is going to get points. And so I think, it did elevate her as far as a contender, not only in that division, but in the league, because I think that division is a tough division with you in it right now as the points leader on the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, at this point, there's only 3 teams that have scored less points than Kelly. So, she's in the bottom third of the league in terms of points scored, but obviously has a good record, and a record that if she can win 4 more games this year, probably puts her squarely in the playoff picture. Or at least, very close to it. And so I would, I'm not saying by any means that it was the wrong move. I mean, Saquon is probably, depending on what some of the other teams, in terms of the best players that are going to come onto the market at this point, and I'm looking at Fitz's team right now. But in terms of the best players that are going to come onto the market, I think Saquon's right there, So going out and getting him is for a team like that
especially this early
season. I
don't think there's going to be anyone else this early that is going to be as good as Saquon. Fitz has some good guys, but he's not willing to part with any of them. Outside of maybe like Garrett Wilson, and maybe few other kind of ancillary players, but like none of them are as good as Saquon. And I think there were several people messaging Jake for him, and similar to what we saw, I think it was like last year, a couple of years ago. Who was that? Was that Josh or Steve that like went out and just said like paid like $35-$40 for like Joe Mixon or someone? I can't. And it was just like I'm gonna go and pay. I'm gonna pay. Like I'm not gonna get into a bidding war. I'm just gonna pay. And so I believe
that was last year when I traded Joe Mixon to Kramer for like $12 in like week 4 or week 5, and then he turned around and traded him for like $25 in week 8 or something when he exploded. So thanks for bringing that up.
No, I think there was something else. I can't remember what. There was like another big one.
All right. Well, we're going to try. We'll mention some of this stuff again in a second. But in lieu of, because we live in the 21st century and the world is turning into a authoritarian hellscape, we decided to use the master's tool of AI and feed the league into it, and then respond to some playoff or some power rankings that the AI powers that be created for us. We've done this before, and so we're going to do it again. I had it break the league into tiers. It even provided some helpful commentary. We're not going to read through. Well, I mean, it didn't write that much. Some of it. John has not seen this, I believe. So John's coming to it fresh. We'll start from the bottom and work our way up, or do you want to go down, top down?
Let's go bottom up.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. The first tier, which our generous AI overlord referred to as the basement. Yeah, you can guess. You want me to take it down?
I haven't looked.
Okay.
Fitz.
Uh-huh.
It's unfortunate. It's like Fitz and Jake, obviously, for their record. Now that third spot though is hard. Is it? It's 3 teams and 4 tiers.
Yes.
Okay. Man. Kelly? Duncan? Duncan. Josh. Me? Me. I should have guessed me. I should have guessed just me. I don't know what I'm doing. Me.
No, it was Steve.
Oh.
Yeah. So Fitz at 0-5 and Jake at 0-5 down there, kind of anchoring the bottom. I don't know that I want to take the time to do it just yet. And maybe this isn't the proper time to do it, but I think at some point we should do a real deep dive into Fitz's team and kind of where it all went wrong this season. Because I honestly, like, coming into the league this year, I really thought Fitz's team was going to be a contender. I thought it looked really, really solid, and it just has things have just not gone well.
Which is crazy because, like, actually, I looked at his team. I was like, okay, like, you look at like Lamb, obviously really good. He got injured. Diggs, like, washed, but now he's playing very well. Herbert up and down, but like pretty good. Then Garrett Wilson,
Joe Burrow. He had Joe Burrow too.
Burrow, yeah. And then Garrett Wilson, who, like, okay, you've got Justin Fields throwing to him, who's like never supported like 8,000, maybe 1,000-yard wide receiver in 5 years. And like Garrett Wilson's like
having a good year. Yeah.
But it's a solo so tough.
Yeah, it's tough. Chase Brown is another guy he had on his roster that just has not. So those are the basement records. Unlikely to make the playoffs according to AI. I think Steve still has a shot depending on what he does the rest of the season in terms of like roster construction and which way he ultimately goes. As we've talked about, I think we don't need to get too far down this road because I think we've talked about it quite a bit at certain points this year. But Steve's roster construction has been at times head scratching, and at times I don't know. Yeah, confusing. It's left him in a situation this week where he's starting 2 tight ends, which is not the first time somebody in this league has done it this year. I think Kelly did it at some point this year, which maybe says something about the state of injuries and the wide receiver class this year, that I think, it feels like a down year for wide receivers in a lot of respects. But currently on Steve's roster, he's got Kenneth Walker, who, Kenneth Walker's doing Kenneth Walker things. I think he'll be all right. But then he's starting, Michael Carter, Calvin Ridley, Matthew Golden, Darren Waller, Tucker Kraft this week. Nico's on a bye, but I think Steve, if he wanted to, could go out and spend some money around the edges and kind of try to sneak his way into the playoffs, or maybe some of these guys pop. Maybe Golden has a good rest of the year and pops off, but I think it's actually a proper placement for him, despite maybe the points for. I know, there's several other teams with less points for, or at least a couple.
I could see Steve, especially if he loses this week, start to look to the future, which I think was something that we identified fairly early on this season, was that Steve was making moves to put himself in contention to compete, but also to free up cap space and get young assets and potentially make a run, like full reset, make a run next year. So I could see him continuing down that path once the writing is on the wall per se.
Yeah. Jake made his decision. He blew it up. I think the AI gets it right? Future focused roster. So,
I mean,
all
it's
right.
hard to repeat. I'll say that much. It's really hard to repeat. You know, not everyone can do it. Only one so far can do it, has done it. But you know, let's hope that it's not something where Josh or previous winner only makes it and then doesn't make it back. Hopefully he has some runs like Peter, gets back to the finals soon. But it's tough. Big crash and burn.
All right, you want to guess the next 3 teams?
Yeah. All right, myself for sure. I'll throw Doug in there. Oh man, I don't know. Maybe not myself actually. I think we're gonna go Alec. Okay. Alec, Duncan, and Doug.
Wow. You nailed it. This is the mid-tier playoff possible, but flawed. So Doug at number 7, Alec at number 8, Duncan at number 9. I personally probably would have had Duncan's team a little bit higher, maybe ahead of Alec's team, at least. And we can look at the rest of the list. But yeah, I mean, this tier, everybody's 3 and 2. Duncan and Doug very close in points for. Alec is kind of the guy that I would put closer to the basement than anybody else here.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's hard. I mean, Alec's team does have some very good players, and I think anytime you have Josh Allen on your team, like you're in line for a 40-point game at some point. So, or every other week potentially, which will boost you into some wins, right? And so I think that's a solid. I mean, you can't rule him out, but yeah, I think when you're looking at Doug or Duncan, I would prefer, I think, the evenness or the steady points of some of those other guys.
Yeah.
They have on the team that I think we'll see. I think could prove to be more playoff caliber. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think Duncan's team probably is the most, at least for me, is the most intriguing out of this. Between Knicks, who I think, I think Knicks has had an okay start. He's had some games where he's showed out and a couple of games where he hasn't. But the Janty, who seems to, I feel like, be turning a corner the last couple weeks. Egbuka, who has been great early in the season. Pickens, who I really liked George Pickens this year. I mean, the Lamb injury obviously I think helps him, but I think that Cowboys team is not very good, and they're going to be playing from behind a lot, and they're going to have to throw. And Pickens is going to get a lot of targets, and he's a good receiver. So I think he's going to rack up the points. And Sutton's been solid as well. So I like Duncan's team a lot, probably the most out of this group, actually. Despite I think what we thought at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I think the depth is. I mean, he has a depth issue for sure, but I mean, he's currently starting 3 of the top 12 wide receivers in the league. So, Ubeka is unbelievable. He has been incredible.
Yep.
And I don't think that it's going to slow down. I don't think Godwin, when he comes back, or Mike Evans, when he comes back, is going to change that. I think,
Yep.
They have found their guy there, which is incredible. And it's only going to make watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers even more fun. And but I think Duncan found his way into a premier wide receiver for the next several years. And so even if this year doesn't quite work out for him, I'm not saying that it wouldn't, but to get Ubeka for $12 is just what an incredible pickup for your first year in the league.
I mean, yeah, I totally agree. And then, Janty, he spent a lot of money on Janty, I think. So I don't know how keepable Janty becomes, depending on what the other contract situations. He spent $62 on him. And Henderson, Henderson, who's the other guy who, I think he got Henderson, for 31.
I think you're letting that one go.
I mean, just hasn't gotten a lot of opportunity early in the year. But 2 hasn't looked all that great in his limited opportunity.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The Ladd thing is probably the more concerning long-term issue for.
It makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense what's happening with Ladd McConkey. But I mean, we've seen this happen in other places and with other players. But you would think that he would have more success.
You would. I mean, I think ultimately, though, he's going to have, Duncan's going to have some options when it comes to keepers next year, between guys like, obviously, Emeka, but guys like Pickens, guys like Sutton, he didn't spend a ton of money on those guys. So he'll have some options in terms of what he wants to do, if he wants to re-sign them. All right. Let's do the next tier. You want to guess them again?
Yeah. All right. I think for sure me, obviously. Josh.
Okay.
And then Kelly. Which I don't love having 2 guys in the top.
Oh,
what? What? AI. I love you, AI. I love you. You're so great, AI.
Oh, man. What do you think? What are your reactions?
You what?
What are your reactions? What do you think?
Wow. I mean, just incredible. I think AI is so smart. It's, it's just beautiful. But in reality, I don't know if I agree with this. I mean, I think Kelly, then Josh, I think is fairly right given. I mean, I think Josh has a very good wide receiver core. With Jamar Chase and AJ Brown, which I think both have underperformed obviously throughout this beginning of the season based on their shitty quarterback play.
Yeah.
But I think that there's still potential for that to be one of the best wide receiver duos in the league. So you're hoping to see that sort of upside later on. And then I think James Cook and Javonte Williams has come on pretty strong. Swift has not been bad. So I think pretty solid. Josh is a pretty solid, even running back core. And then Kelly, I mean, obviously has just paired Saquon with Kyron Williams and the King and King Henry, and who has also underperformed, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you'd rather have 3 other running backs together with Kyron Williams, Saquon Barkley, and Derrick Henry. I mean, it's just that's a crazy 3 wide receiver, or sorry, 3 running back core. Is like that's nuts. And you know when it starts to get cold and Derrick Henry starts to get fucking ball out.
Yeah.
I mean, who cares who our running backs are at that point? So we'll see. We'll see. I think this makes sense outside of Peter. I don't know why Peter's in this tier.
I agree. I think the order is correct in terms of Josh and Kelly. Despite what you just said about the running backs that Kelly has, I like Kelly's running back core. I think it's good. I think the rest of her team, I don't know, worries me a little bit. But the running backs, those 3 running backs, are as good as anybody has in the league. Josh, I agree. Like AJ Brown, man. AJ Brown experience must be so frustrating. I don't know, that pick that Hurts threw in the red zone last night. AJ Brown was wide open down the center of the field going into the end zone, just wide open. But you have to think, AJ Brown comes on a little bit more this year, and so does Chase. I think the idea of Chase being the wide receiver 1 to finish the year is obviously out the window. But him being an every week, wide receiver 1, not the wide receiver 1, but a wide receiver 1, I think is not just possible. I think it's not just possible. I think it's likely, right? They're going to have to throw a lot, and if you're going to throw, you're going to throw to the guy that's always open and that can make plays, and that's Jamar Chase.
Yeah, and you want someone who's accurate. Like Flacco is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think what you're seeing with Browning is just like he's not accurate, and he panics a little bit, and like he can't go through the progressions. Flacco can go through a read and multiple progressions within 2 seconds, and like get the ball out. He's not going to scramble, so that offensive line, as shitty as it is, like he's gonna have to get the ball out quick. But that's not going to hurt Chase. Chase is going to do well in that situation, and like you can scheme him open early into a play. So yeah, I think that like that wide receiver core is probably one of the best. And then, I mean, you're looking at Peter's team. I mean, come on, like what are we doing? Why is his team is like what are we doing here?
Before we talk about Peter's team, we'll go the rest of the way up, and we'll bring Peter into the top tier so that he's not freaking out and I don't know, sending me mean text messages as he's listening.
He's gonna be like, you influence the AI to like, you fed him all of my dribble and my mean text to you, and then the AI was personally offended by how malicious I was, and ranked me lower than I should be.
I mean, maybe. No, I did not do that. I did not influence the AI. I'll release the conversation if need be that I had with ChatGPT if need be. I think the one thing that it saw that is correct about Peter's team is that his running backs are dog shit, and that may end up being a problem for him. Judkins, I think, is good and is gonna be fine the rest of the season. But outside of Judkins, these are Peter's running backs at the moment. Hassan Haskins is starting this week. Braylon Allen on the bench. He's got he's got the Chargers backfield cornered. So Kamani Vidal is there.
Yeah.
Tootin's on the bench. So is Chubb. So that's good. And then Hampton is on IR. I mean, that is a bad, maybe the worst in the league group of running backs.
Yeah, I mean, prior to Hampton's injury, like Hampton was doing very well. Like, in weeks 3 and 4,
sure.
he had 21 and 27 points. So it's like, like injuries have hit him hard. But
yes.
I do agree. Like, I mean, also he's got Lamar Jackson, pseudo running back on IR, or at least out. He's out. So like, yes, I agree. Like, I think his depth, he has got a big depth piece, which is probably why he's been messaging me about Josh Jacobs and CMC every other day for the last 2 weeks.
And then I just want to highlight one other thing. So Peter's two, the running backs, the AI highlight, or sorry, the wide receivers, the AI highlights his wide receivers in terms of Amon-Ra, Puka, Zay, and I agree that's a very good top 3 wide receivers. Obviously, I think the top 2 in Amon-Ra and Puka, nobody has a better combination of a 1-2 wide receiver in the league. Those are the 2 best. But when you get beyond those 2, it's not as though Peter's wide receiver room is knocking anybody's socks off either. His bench is filled with backup running backs. So, he's got Zay, who I think we can both agree, one is going to be hurt probably a bit by Lamar's injury, and 2 by the fact that he's a pretty up and down player. And then beyond Zay, it's Cooper Kupp and Wan'Dale Robinson, who had a good game last night. And I think Wan'Dale Robinson probably gets a bump rest of season with Dart and Neighbors down. But I don't know. I don't know that that's on paper, at least. I don't think it's the most enticing wide receiver.
All right. You convinced me.
Depth piece.
Obviously, my team should be above his. Obviously.
Let's talk about it. So your team, John's team, surprisingly, John, I thought you had a dog shit team. I'm not gonna lie. I thought your team sucked.
I did. I walked out of that draft and I was like, wow, I suck.
But I think looking at your team now, Josh Jacobs had a really slow start to the season. And he turned it around in his last game. They had a bye week, but McCaffrey has had a good year, mostly propped up, I think, by his receiving totals, which have been fantastic. His rushing, he's at his lowest yards per carry, I think, of his entire career in terms of being a rusher. But his receiving has been great. So, McCaffrey is back to, he's not the running back 1, he's the running back 2, but he's been great this year.
I mean, that's what happens when you have no other wide receivers on your team.
Yeah.
Right.
And DK, the DK Aaron Rodgers stack appears to be fine as well. Like that's not bad. It's working. I mean, Aaron Rodgers sucks, but DK is pretty good.
He got off to a very slow start. The last week was fairly good before the bye. Like, he's only wide receiver 25 on the year. So, it's not great, but it's also not terrible.
No, I mean, I think you have a lot of mid pieces, but mid in a not it's not the bottom half of the mid tier. It's not bad. Pittman, I think, is having a good year. You've got Rashad White, who I think actually, depending on what's going on with Bucky, Rashad could be an extremely valuable piece for you going forward.
Yeah, like I had him in 2023 when I won, and that was like he just like that was the year that he just went fucking ham.
Yeah.
And it was nuts. And so I mean, God, if he could return to that level of good, I could see myself ending up. Like the issue is like our division, I think, is the most stacked division, and so like
Hmm.
I'm gonna have to play Ken. I'm gonna have to play Peter again. I get to play Doug again, and then and so like it's gonna be tough at the end of the season. So I don't know. My wide receiver core I don't think is very good. I don't think it's bad. But yeah, it's all
No,
like
I agree.
15 to 25 ranked players, right? So it's like
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think your team is a little top heavy in terms of CMC and Jacobs, but it's not bad. Those are two great players to have. Kind of similar to what Kelly is doing. So were you in on the Saquon conversation at all? Were you in on the
I need
conversation
wide
at all?
receivers. I need wide receivers, and
I think
so
everybody needs wide receivers at this point.
I've talked to Fitz. I assume a lot of other people have, given his messaging in the group chat. But like I'm in the market for a wide receiver. My
All
issue is like I don't have a lot of young. I didn't draft a lot of young talent to like potentially sort of lessen
Yeah.
that dollar burden by trading a younger talent that could be a keeper. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to end up paying a bit of a premium, which whenever you're in that, well, the AI thinks that I'm in the top tier, but like whenever you're like in that lower mid, our mid tier, you're like, do I really want to pay a lot of money just to like secure a playoff spot?
Yeah.
When in reality, it's like, does that actually it doesn't put me over the top. It just puts me in contention. And if the people that are truly in contention make a move to put them way over the top, now I'm just like the Chicago Bulls, where it's like, cool.
You're constantly in the playing game. Yeah, I agree. So I would not have had you at 3. I think that's a bad spot to have.
No, I would have been at like 5 or 6 in my mind.
Yeah, I think Peter belongs. I probably would have Peter at 2, to be honest, and have Ken at 3. I'd probably have myself at 1, but I would probably have Peter at 2. Let's talk about Ken's team real quick. It's the end of the show. It's where we always talk about Ken's team, because we know he'll listen to the whole thing to get to
didn't watch last week's, which I was very annoyed by when we were in Boston. He's like, I haven't watched it. He told me that about 4 fucking times. I was like, Ken, watch it or don't. I don't care. Don't tell me.
I will say Ken usually watches it on Friday nights. So this might be a problem. He might not watch this one either. But
he does do that. He likes to watch it. He likes to sit down.
He likes to put it up on the TV, much to our sister's chagrin.
I know. Hi, Meredith.
Hey, Boo. What do you think of Ken's team? I mean, the neighbor's injury hurts, and I don't.
It sucks.
I mean,
I felt really bad for him when that happened. I mean, it's just like no one likes to see that, obviously, and I think we talked about it last week. But like, it is a big blow to him. We'll see when Ayuk comes back. Like, can he fill in a little bit of that? But honestly, like, yeah, I mean, also Bowers is out this week, right?
Yep.
Which is crazy. But I do really like his team. I think Breece Hall and Gibbs have come. Breece Hall has kind of had a little bit of a resurgence. I think Gibbs is obviously a top 3 running back in the league. And then he really he believed in JSN, I think, more than most people. And JSN has proved him correct. And then probably to all of the chagrin of all the Bears fans, Odunze is, has been lights out.
Amazing.
So,
yeah.
Propped up by touchdowns a little bit, but still just he's getting the targets, and he seems to be Caleb Williams' favorite. And I'm gonna be really annoyed when Ken keeps him, next year, and adds him to the Neighbors JSN trio, and we have to deal with that for the next few years. So,
agreed. I will be as well. I mean, Ken is well situated for the foreseeable future, and I think has at least he's got a very good chance this year. He's got a bunch of good players on his roster, and I think could make a real dent. But the Neighbors injury again is going to hurt. The Ayuk thing will be interesting. Ayuk coming back. It's another one, kind of a gamble, and I think the thing that hurts it is that the apparent kind of season-long concern about the quarterback situation there, in terms of who's going to be playing quarterback. Mac Jones did great, has done great in his starts, but the kind of constant question marks of, is Purdy going to be healthy? Is Mac Jones going to be starting? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that offense. But Kittle being out is also something that is going to impact Ayuk's numbers. So we'll see when he comes back. But the Odunze, having Odunze, having Neighbors, Gibbs under contract, all those guys, and Breece Hall, say what you will about Breece Hall, and I think coming into the season we said quite a bit, he's been a steady RB2 this year. He's had some good weeks, he's had some not so good weeks, but on the whole, I think, minus really that Buffalo game, he's been pretty damn good this year.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, Gibbs is on his last year for his deal, but I think he has
That's true. Yeah.
He could extend him. He could sign him for another year. But he's Breece Hall again next year, and then he could sign
Odunze.
Yeah, Odunze, and
he's got Neighbors under contract, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. That leaves one team. I'll just let you know what AI said about it. No glaring holes. Clear favorite. I believe that was related to the Decatur Staleys, the number 1 team in the league in both points and records, beating Peter Kramer last week, who talked a little bit of shit before our game, and then got fucking stomped, motherfucker, by the Staleys. So I hope you enjoyed that, Peter, because I certainly did.
Disgusting. Just disgusting. I mean, I know Peter is talking a lot of shit. He always does. Which is why we love him.
I should say he did not get stomped. He got, it was fairly close game. I won by like 12. But I'll talk briefly about my team. I think have I think I've earned at this point the top spot. Though I do think there's some holes on my roster that are the opposite of what I had thought it was going to be. I'm going to shut this for now. So my coming into the season, my worry was actually the running back room of my team, and I thought the strength of my team was going to be the wide receivers, and that's completely flipped to the point where I think I have the best like overall depth included running back room in the league, and am very, very worried about my wide receiver situation.
Yeah, your wide receiver situation sucks.
Yeah.
And I mean, with Kelly's move, I don't know if I agree with the best wide running back core situation, but
I don't mean best running back core. And actually, Kelly's situation makes it maybe throws the wrinkle in of having she's got 3 top tier guys. So maybe I do give that nod to Kelly, but I think the totality of depth with Jonathan Taylor, Bucky, Dobbins, who's been very good this year,
I do think your wide receiver core is
ETN, who's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. They actually shipped out fucking what's his name who was supposed to be the heir apparent, and they were like, see you later, which was I thought was a hilarious move. I think your wide receiver core is concerning, but it's not that concerning to me because obviously you have Justin Jefferson. So I'm biased this week, but whatever. I think you've seen Brian Thomas play his worst football of the season. And that team was 4-1. So you're 4-1 and he's played his worst football of the season. So for whatever reason, I think the Jags could be really good this year. I don't think anyone was saying that beforehand. But for whatever reason, they seem to be doing very well. And so as Brian Thomas comes on, it seemed like he sort of arrived last game. Despite his not great fantasy total. But 80 yards on 4 reception is pretty good. And then Rashid Shaheed, I saw this great stat on Reddit earlier this week. Rashid Shaheed, same draft class as Jameson Williams. More receptions, more per game, more yards per reception per game, more touchdowns, more I think all pretty much every stat that you could come up with, Rashid Shaheed outplayed Jameson Williams. But for whatever reason, Jameson Williams seems to be the guy that everyone's oh, he's so good. Nah, he's pretty gadgety, like Jordan Addison. Shaheed, well, a speedster for sure, and might taper off in the next couple of years. He's been really good this year. I mean, best wide receiver. So, you can't hate that as your flex player. So,
I will just say the Shaheed. So Shaheed had a huge game last game. He put up 30-something points, which I think is propping up that 23 a little bit. But what attracted me to Rashid Shaheed to begin with was he showed a lot of pop early in the season last year. He was out basically, I think, 3/4, 2/3 of the season last year. But prior to going out, he had some really, really good games in which he had huge target numbers, fairly large reception numbers, and was scoring touchdowns. So I liked him as kind of like a flyer pick this year. I had hoped I would never have to start him. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, T. Higgins has left me in a situation where, to be honest, I may start T. Higgins this week. We'll see. But
I mean, I think like you've gotten through Rashid Rice's suspension, which like I think he comes back, and who in that wide receiver core is going to garner like more targets than Rashid Rice? I think like
I hope nobody.
Assuming he steps back into that wide receiver one role, and everyone else sort of fades off. And so, if that's the case, then I'm not seeing you having to start Shaheed, outside of like a bye-week fill-in for any of these guys. And so, yeah, I think like at some point, like you might have to, make some tough decisions, but generally you're looking at a very, very solid team throughout down to your 6th or 7th rosters or bench spot. So
agreed.
Will you lose a game, Mike? Will you lose?
Yeah, probably. I'll probably lose. I'll probably lose to you, which would suck. But that's probably what will happen.
You've heard it here first, people. You've heard it here first. What week is that?
I don't know. I would have to check, but I'm betting. If I were a betting man, which I guess I am, that's what we're doing here, right? We're gambling. I would say I lose to John.
11. You think you're gonna go 10-0 and then lose to me?
Well,
it's possible.
Considering Jonathan Taylor's on his bye week that week, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I just looked, and you're at like I just pulled up our week 10, and like, yeah, I mean Taylor's out, Shaheed's out.
So well, I know, but yeah, the lineups don't really match up. But I would say, sure, it's possible. All right,
let's get out of
John.
here.
We did it.
Kind of top 3, huh? Let's go.
Yeah. We took a little bit longer doing this than I thought we did, but we always do. One quick thing: week 6 is a prize week. What is the prize for week 6?
I think it's just a weekly high. Yeah, I think it's weekly high.
All right. All right. Well, that's it for the AI chatbot. The AI chatbot for ChatGPT, and myself and brother John. This has been the RTF Show.
We love you, AI overlords. Portland will be saved.